In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in this track that's based around this Sawtooth melody. I'm mainly going to talk about this Sawtooth sound, but I'm also going to go over the other tracks and show you what's happening in there. So let's start maybe right away with this sound, which is kind of the centerpiece of the whole thing. As you can hear, the sound is very simple, but in my opinion sounds very nice. And what it is a Sawtooth filtered with a little bit of resonance. It's the 4-pole filter here, and a little bit of randomization on the cutoff frequency. As you can see here, the random modulation starts blinking once I press the frequency shortcut here. It's maybe easiest to demonstrate if I simply try to recreate the patch. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit, or maybe I'm going to save this first. So I'll save this as 198. And then I'm going to make a new synth. Switch this to a Sawtooth, filter it, like I said, bit of resonance, and then I'm going to modulate this with envelope 2. Make the attack short here, the decay probably also shorter. Yeah, sustain, I might just leave this where it is, and then the amp envelope I'm going to also make shortish. And add a little bit of release. I'm going to decrease the amount of envelope modulation for the frequency because I don't want that really noticeable resonance sweep in there. Yeah, something like this. And then there's quite a lot of reverb on this. I'm going to set this to large. Yeah, it was already set to large. I'll set it back to large, and maybe let's have a listen. Sounds pretty close to what we had before, and now I'm going to add the random mod on the frequency. Let's have a listen again. That's probably too much. Also, resonance is a bit much. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Let's maybe compare it to, let's save this guy also. Compare it to this sound. Sounds like this has a softer attack on the filter envelope. And probably sustain higher up. Yeah, you get the idea. You can always adjust to taste. I'm not going to recreate this to the point where it's an exact copy. But one thing I just noticed is on the other one, there's actually an Arpeggiator. So if we listen to this with the old sound, whenever there's a note that's a bit more sustained, there are none. Yeah, there you heard it. We get this octave thing, like when someone on a piano goes doody doody doody. Which I think is kind of cool every once in a while. So I guess that's worth mentioning. And then what I did here with these Sawtooths is I punched in this melody, the one we were just listening to, and then I think this guy down here is a very simple bass. So without a proper bass, it's still easy to recognize the harmonies. So the Sawtooth can kind of stand on its own. As you can see, I've made these two guys also both yellow, so I can launch them at the same time for kind of a breakdown part or something like that. I think the melodies are more or less identical. The blue and the yellow one. The blue one seems to be a bit busier. There's some ghost notes in between. Probably also using probability. So each repetition is going to be slightly different, which keeps things interesting in my opinion. Yeah, so that's all there is to say about the Sawtooth, I think. And then maybe let's have a listen to the other tracks down here. This is, yeah, just kind of a texture thing, a little bit of rhythm. This is probably something I resampled out of a drum track and then put in here. This is, well, it says here, tape noise. Can't hear anything because of the filter, with probably some LFO mod on it. Yes, but, well, neglectable, I guess. And then the bottom one is this sample. If I remember correctly, this is the kind of a granular thing I made on the Deluge a while back, following a YouTube tutorial. I don't remember the name of the channel, but I'll put a link in the description. It's a really nice sound, I think. And then there's this audio track, which I think is a copy of the melody. Probably using some external synth, but I don't remember what it was. One octave higher than the other one. So I'm guessing they should go nicely together. And then there is a bass. Also an audio track. Just so we have the harmonies and some low end. And then this one. Kind of a complementary melody to the bass line, but maybe let's listen to it with the bass line. Might even be the same. Yeah. So this is a copy of the bass line, but with a more interesting sound with more high frequencies. You might have noticed I had the filter all the way closed, or almost all the way closed before. This is exactly for that reason. If I play those two, at first we only hear the very low bass notes, and then I can bring this guy in either by using the cutoff frequency or the volume. And then this is just a bass drum. I sometimes like to keep the bass drum separate from the rest of the drum track to be able to easily bring it in and out. It's just an 808 kick, always works. And then this is, well, I guess you could say the rest of the beat. I think there's some decimation going on here, which gives it kind of a shaker-like feel. It makes things a bit softer and lo-fi. I sometimes like that. And then up here, the pink ones, the first one is just a very simple chord track. I think it's also a Sawtooth. And not much else going on here. Just a sustained sound, some vibrato. And yeah, a little bit of delay and reverb. And then it's filtered. With the pitch vibrato, I think it gets a nice vintage feel to it. It's almost like a detune effect. And then this is kind of a complementary melody to the main melody. So let's turn this guy on so we can hear that. kind of a multi-purpose thing, I guess. It's got this rhythm, this which helps the groove, I guess, and then sometimes there's little melody fragments in between. Kind of lines out the chords and helps the beat and supports the melody. I mean, that was the plan, I guess. Now listening back to it, it doesn't always work perfectly, but with everything else that's going on, I think it does the job just fine. And then up here is an ARP track. Let me turn off this guy again. This is a pulse width modulated square. You can see here when I press the pulse width button, this LFO2 light starts blinking, meaning LFO2 is modulating the width of the pulse wave. And then there's also a little bit of vibrato going on, which gives it kind of a unison detune feel. Here's without the vibrato, and here with. So yeah, that's all there is, and maybe a last word about the sections here. Blue, it's just the main thing. And then these guys up here, I could easily add this to the rest. I'm gonna restart the playback so we don't have to wait for so long. And like I said, yellow is pretty well suited for kind of a breakdown. This time we'll wait. The filter for the secondary bassline thing. I bring in the bass. Bass drum, like I said. Easy to separately bring it in. This sounds filtered, but it isn't. Or maybe in here. Also, opening the filter in the Sawtooth is always nice. Gives it more presence. Oh, the entire song is filtered. So yeah, I hope you found this interesting. If you want to play around with this a little bit yourself, I'll put a download link to the project file right below this video. So yeah, hope you liked this. Thanks a lot for watching.